Hi Andrew, we've had you on our Ultimate Brains. Tell us a bit more about Andrew.
Oh, crikey. How long have you got? Well, I'm 50 currently, for a year. And I was born in Doncaster, and I have 2 children. And I'm falling now. And
What got you? Why did we have you on about walking?
because you come and pick me up from my house.
That's a good reason.
No, I started walking in Wolverhampton, where I went to university.
Yeah.
And the Midlands, West Midlands especially, is a great area for canals. There's more canals in the West Midlands than there are in Venice.
Wow.
There you go.
Wow.
So if you take one thing away today, that's a great thing.
I will absorb that.
That
Andrew.
will get you a pub quiz question correct.
So I've got a chance on one.
Absolutely. So I used to go walking along the canals, between all the towns and cities in the West Midlands. And then when I moved to Italy to do some work there, I was a big walker, so I walked around various places and used to go on the train to Napoli, and then I'd walk around there.
Nice.
So that was lovely. And then when I came back, that sort of buzz and bug was there. And when I was watching, it was, I think, back 2005, when Julia Bradbury's programmes about walking on the Wainwrights routes in the Lake District came on. And I thought, these are all great, but there are lots of people who can't do that, who can't walk on mountains because they're physically not able to do so, or because they've got kids who can't do that, or dogs, or just because they can't get to mountainous areas from where they live. And that's what got me thinking that maybe what we should do is have something, a resource that shows you
alternatives
and shorter walks.
Yeah.
Because there's always been I think a snobbishness in the outdoor industry and the outdoor world about short walks that people, it's a bit frowned upon. It's not great unless you've gone up to a top mountain and things like that. And
You've not achieved unless you've climbed a mountain.
Yeah, and I just thought, well, that's all well and good, and people can do that, but there's lots of things that people can do in a low level, smaller hills and things like that, different areas of the UK where you don't necessarily think of walking.
Yeah.
There's some great places in Lincolnshire to walk, but everybody thinks it's too flat. Well, it's not,
Oh, there's some beautiful
great
places.
Walks. Yeah. So this is the idea where when I started Walks Around Britain, the website, and then later the podcast and the TV series, was to make it so that it illustrated great walks for everybody to do.
Yeah. Where's your favourite walk?
Well, that's like being asked which is your favourite kid. It's like, if I had to pick one, it would be on the Isle of Man. Yeah. Because the Isle of Man is between, for people who don't know which one that is, that's between England and Wales and Northern Ireland. So Ireland. So it's in the middle of the Irish Sea. It's gorgeous. Yes. It's a really great place. And the great thing about it is it's often, it's a cliche, but it's often been said that it's like the UK in miniature. And on the south side, you've got some, cliffs that look like, anything that you'd see in Cornwall or in Scotland. Yeah. You've got a bit of mountainous areas, so like you see in the Peak District or Lake District. Yeah. And then in the top side and the north side, it's quite flat, so it's very much like the landscapes that you see in Norfolk and in parts of Essex. And it's all in this little compact island where you can go from the south to the north within 40 minutes. Yeah,
because it's not a very big place at all, is it?
No. And so on the Isle of Man, you can do a walk that you start out on the beach. You can go through a forest. You can go up Snaefell, the highest mountain. Yeah. You can go round to some great little towns and villages. Yeah. And then back along the coastal path, the Radnor-Fordian coastal path to where you started. So you've got basically every single type of walk in that one walk. Yeah. So that's a doer.
Yeah. That sounds absolutely brilliant. And I have been to the Isle of Man, but it's a long, long time ago. So I might have to put that in my to-do list.
Yes, absolutely. Have a big to-do list.
What did you do at university then, Andrew? What connected the two? Why walking and then walks around Britain?
I studied video production. I remember being, I think, about the age of 6 when I realised that I wanted to do something in either television or radio.
Was there any particular thing you watched or listened to that made you think, actually, this is what I want to do?
Yeah, there was a couple of things. There was an episode of edition of Swap Shop. Where,
wow, that's a blast from the past.
Absolutely. 811, 8055.
Well beyond my years. I don't know what you're talking about, Andrew.
Swap Shop.
Yes, tell me all about it.
So it was, I can't remember what year it was and what age I was, but there was an episode there where Keith Chegwin used to do these swaps in the outside. So he used to do an outside broadcast, and he was wherever in the country that they were going to.
Right.
And usually it was where they used to have, I think, where Grandstand was covering the football or the horse racing.
Yes.
Because the trucks were there to do that, so they used to do this as a way to just beforehand. And they did a little sort of joke between Noel Edmonds in the studio in London and wherever Keith was, and Noel would pull this cable, and Keith would go like that.
Yeah.
You know, and it was like just this little bit of fun.
Mimicry.
Yeah, I thought that is brilliant. That's lovely. And then there was another one where there was a competition winner, and the competition prize was that she was going to play the flute with James Galway.
Yeah.
But there was a problem where he couldn't get from Ireland to London for this.
Yeah.
So they explained this really complicated setup that they had to do to try to get his sound to London so she could hear it and send her sound back to Dublin so he could hear her and then get the two married up together. And I listened to that and I thought, that's what I want to do. Something like that is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And the other thing that got me was Harold Lloyd. And Harold Lloyd's famous clock that came off, and he was handling it, you know, deep, the cavernous bits of the city weren't down, and he was so high up that this clock was, you know, coming off, and he was hanging off the edge of it, and I just thought, that's just marvellous.
Yeah.
I want to do stuff like that.
What, you want to hang up a clock?
Not personally, I want to film it.
Yeah.
I want to write it, you know, and that was it.
So you've not just started, but you're doing a fabulous thing at the minute, aren't you? The Walker Mysteries. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, the Walker Mysteries. I mean, this came from having a walk, and this is how sort of, you know, great ideas always start in one of two places, either on a walk or on the toilet.
Is that because you find you have clarity of thought because you've got space?
Definitely on the walk, yes.
Yes.
And you're getting rid of some rubbish on the toilet, so you get good stuff there as well. But on the walk, and I was just walking with the dogs, and I was thinking, and just this phrase came into my head: walker by name, walker by nature. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. What's caused that? Where's that from? How can I use that? I can't, you know. So it just sort of lingered around and that. And I think I was watching an episode of Vera, and it's brilliant, and obviously the writing's fantastic and the acting's fantastic. But I just suddenly thought, why is it that lots of the detectives that we see on television and in books are older people?
Yeah.
They tend to have quite damaged people. You know, they've got big histories. You know, they were alcoholics, or they were, and generally they're not well liked. You know, you wouldn't want them as a friend, would you? They're great at their jobs. They're great, you know, but to think that they're going to be your friend, they're not necessarily people you'd want to hang around with.
No.
And I thought, wouldn't it be great if there was like a young, female, likable, quite sexy kind of detective?
Yeah.
And then it came, oh, that's where that other thought came from.
Yeah.
She's called Walker.
Yeah.
And
suddenly
she is a walker.
And
that's where it came from. And then I was just literally, lots of writers say that I have big problems getting character names. I don't. It just comes straight away. And it was just like, so what's she called then? Charlotte. That's it.
Yeah.
So Charlotte Walker. And then the great thing about having a name that you can shorten, so Lottie is her name, her nickname. If all the characters call her Lottie, it's because she's allowed them to. So it automatically says who are in
her friends, her close friends.
Her closer circle, you see.
Yeah.
So it's a good way of giving a little bit of a hint to the audience. So she is a detective. She's 33 when we meet her, 34 generally where the stories are.
Yeah.
And she is in a new crime unit which allows her to go around the country and sort of take on cases that are difficult or different or just because she happens to be there at the time.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things that seem to happen where Charlotte is. Things follow her around.
I love the way when you listen to the Walker Mysteries, it absorbs you. So if you imagine for people who haven't heard them, you can be anywhere. You can be sat in a car, you can be listening to it on your phone, in bed, anywhere, just having a minute. But it feels like you're there. So somebody's walking down the street and you'll say, instead of it just being somebody's walking down the street, you can feel that person walking down the street behind you, can't you? You have this uncanny knack of, there's one bit in one of the books where she's locked in a boot.
Yeah.
And oh my goodness, you are in that boot. You create that sensation of being in that boot.
Yeah.
How?
I think it's about trying to figure out how, when you're talking about the sound, when you're talking about the audio versions that we do, it's about listening to what's around you and how sound works and how different properties of sound. So if you can then recreate them, that's where you get that really great feeling of being actually in that place. You know, if it's a nightclub, you want that bass to be booming. You want that sort of shouting of people because there's a lot of stuff going underneath. And it's all about, it's not just the writing, it's not just the putting it, it's about the performance. And Sally Swift does a great job.
I was just going to say, and the voice actress,
Yeah.
do we call them an actress that you use?
Artist.
It's fabulous.
Yeah. She's called Sally Swift.
Yeah.
And she does the voice of Charlotte and also Aisha in the audio plays which we're doing this year. And it's she's just brilliant. You can just give her anything. And I said to her, you know, can Charlotte do an impression of somebody from Ireland?
Yeah.
So she's got to do Charlotte doing an impression of somebody from Ireland, you know,
so
and she can do that.
What is
brilliant.
Sally's actual natural accent?
It's kind of like a BBC RP type of accent. It's like the old-fashioned, quite amazingly
proper.
Posh.
Yes. Proper.
Yeah, it is. Yes, very.
So she has the ability to go into a totally different accent and then put an accent on top of that. That's a skill, isn't it?
Oh yeah, she's marvellous. Absolutely marvellous.
So where are we going to go with the Walker Mysteries next?
Well, I wrote a book. And I'm writing more books. Then I started to do the podcasts, which are a monologue. It's about 11 minutes. And it's Charlotte talking to the listeners, so breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah.
And then telling the rest of the story in flashback, which are the dramatic elements in that. So we then decided that what we're going to do is, I said to Sally, would you like to do like a full cast version, where we, sort of 43 minutes. And she said, oh, God, yes. So
brilliant.
We're doing that now. We've got some actors all around the country. We've got some in America who are taking part as well.
Fabulous.
And it's a big logistical operation to do this.
How do you find the actors for these things?
You put a call out on the internet.
And it's people that know people, and
what's
meant to be just lands in your lap.
Yeah, and it's, serendipity happens all the time, and it's brilliant. So just getting those, I've got somebody who's in Boston, in America, and she records some stuff, and then she sends it across to us, and then I mix that all together so it works, and it sounds as though it's in the next studio. It's brilliant.
That is fabulous. And what about Walks Around Britain? Are we going to see some more Walks Around Britain?
Yes, there's going to, I wouldn't say reboot, but we're starting again with some more Walks Around Britain. So this will be series 6.
Wow.
We've got some in the can already.
And where can people see Walks Around Britain?
They can go to the website, walksaroundbritain.co.uk. There's a subscription service there that you can get the episodes a lot quicker than anybody else. It's on YouTube and Facebook, and it'll be on various TV channels, as well as Amazon Prime.
And the same with the Walker Mysteries?
The Walker Mysteries are available on Audible for the audiobooks, and they're available as a podcast everywhere else for the monologues. So just
Fabulous.
wherever you get your podcast from.
Fabulous. So I suggest everybody go and have a look. Find out what we're talking about. But for today, thank you, Andrew.
You're very welcome.